Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and here's a headline from MostTraded.com. Breaking. Tomorrow, the SEC will produce documents for Ripple. Now, at the time I'm recording this, I think it's a little after 11:30 p.m. So for me, it's true that tomorrow the SEC will produce documents for Ripple, but by the time I get this uploaded and YouTube processes it and does all the copyright checks and all that stuff, it's probably going to be past midnight. So for you, it's today. So you don't have to wait as long as I do. Aren't you lucky? Also, I want to share with you some comments. There's a couple interesting threads all up on the Twitters. And BitBoy Crypto, Ben Armstrong, who runs the BitBoy Crypto YouTube channel, which I believe is the second largest cryptocurrency channel on all of YouTube on the entire planet. I think they have somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1.5 million subscribers at this point. He got into a little bit of a friendly debate. He doesn't think that, and I'll share with you the reasons why, he doesn't think that that the SEC should go after anybody having anything to do with Ethereum. So from the co-founders, Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, you name it, he doesn't think the SEC should go after them. And I am curious. I'm going to pose this question now, and you can wait until after the video is over if you want to wait to respond, or do it now. It doesn't matter to me. But I am curious as to what you think. My question is, should the SEC go after Ethereum, sue them into oblivion, or should they just let things be? I'll be curious to say. But anyway, before going any further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, before I get into those two things, I do want to share something that I found to be rather comical, and this is kind of short here. And I don't know, you guys tell me if you think this is actually true, or if somebody just made up something that's funny. It's plausible. It's definitely plausible, but you'd have to have some serious spite for the IRS in order to do what they're doing here. So IRS, Internal Revenue Service within the United States, reporting all of our fun tax documents to them every single year. It's everybody's favorite task, isn't it? Well, here's what somebody in the world of crypto had to say about this, and I'm not sure what forum this was on. I'm not familiar with the format, but here's what they had to say nonetheless. I have a bot running 24/7, buying and selling for zero target profit just to waste IRS manpower and money. I print and send the IRS all the documentation about my trades in paper form to stop them from automatizing the process with a computer program. I mix blank pages, double print, ghost print, or mark/write in them just in case they have a way to scan and use some sort of recognition software. That way, they have to look at thousands upon thousands of pages one by one and look at random scribblings and drawn dicks while doing their job. It gets worse, folks. Check this out. This is funny. It's a whole pallet of papers with trades. A whole pallet of papers. So I hire a guy to forklift that S word and send it just in the off chance that having to deal with a pallet is troublesome for them. All the documents are numbered, but I pack everything completely out of order, as in the lower numbers always happen to be at the bottom of the pallet, in case the order of the trades is important. If order is important, they now have to deal with lifting boxes and have them laying around before they can even start checking the numbers. My normal trades are also in those pages, so they can't just ignore everything. This costs me thousands of dollars every year. I make sure to send the invoices of how much all the processes cost me on top of the pallet so that whoever is in charge of it knows I'm wasting the equivalent of 2 months of his wages in asinine S-word stuff on top of his or her time. Well, that's some serious spite for the IRS. That's extreme. So I'm not recommending anybody does this, but once I read this, I was laughing a few times as I was reading through this. So I don't know. I don't know if somebody's actually doing this, but it's definitely funny nonetheless. Now into this document. Breaking tomorrow, the SEC will produce documents for Ripple. And I do have one correction within this article I'll share with you as we go through it. In yet another win for popular blockchain company Ripple, the court has granted its request for extra time to file a response to the Securities and Exchange Commission's motion to redact certain documents. James K. Flynn, who has been vocal about the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, confirmed that the blockchain company received the positive news via a text-only order communicated to its lawyers recently. Now, and here's a quote. The SEC is directed to produce the redacted documents for defendant's assessment by March 30th, 2022. And you can see there's the tweet from James Flynn on your screen. Now, per the directive, the SEC has been mandated to produce the redacted documents for defendant's assessment by tomorrow, March 30th, 2022. So I want to pause to note, in case you're wondering, these are not the Billy Boy Hinman emails. Remember the 63 emails associated with the Ethereum free pass speech? That's not what this is. We're still waiting on the judge to rule a second time, of course, on whether or not Ripple's actually going to get this. You may recall that on January 13th of this year, the judge did rule that these documents were to be handed over to Ripple, those 63 Hinman emails, but the SEC, being the bunch of baby back biatches that they are, hanging out in their little asshat factory, they started crying up a storm and put out their case for why, hey, judge, maybe just reconsider. It's not right to hand out these. And I've covered that in depth also. And as a result, we're now waiting for the judge to rule a second time on whether or not Ripple does get these documents. Now, I'm very optimistic on that front, and that's going to be even more meaningful than what's being cited here. But we'll just have to kind of sit tight and see what actually happens here. But still, on these notes, here's the thing. With these particular notes, and I don't know exactly what's in all these. Well, of course I don't. But my concern is the redactions here. How extreme is this going to be? Well, Ripple's going to find out. So check this out. In a motion filed by Ripple last week, the company noted that once it receives copies of the redacted documents, it will analyze and determine whether the SEC needs to conduct any redaction to the documents. That's not quite the right way to word that. Take a look at what James Flynn had to say. Here's another tweet from him on the screen from just a little bit earlier this evening. He wrote, they won't be that's not what I meant to say. They won't be filed publicly. They will be produced to Ripple, Larson, and Garlinghouse for their review to see if they have objections and to help them assess how they will respond on April 4th. And so the way this works is it's going to go to Ripple, and like I said here, also Larson and Garlinghouse. And if they have any sort of issue with the way in which these documents are redacted, even though they won't necessarily know what's being covered up, then they can speak up at that point. So I'm just wondering how severely these things are going to be redacted. Like I can just imagine all but one word on the damn sheet being redacted because it's the SEC and they're a bunch of pricks and they just are doing everything that they can to make sure that justice is not done. That's what it looks like to me. Now into the next topic here. Here's a thread that was started by XRP community member Stefan Huber, who has been doing a lot of reporting on what's now known as ETHgate. And he wrote the following. And so he had watched a BitBoy Crypto video. And here's what he wrote in regards to this. Have you heard the new BitBoy Crypto video? And then he has in quotation marks here, honestly, we don't want to go too much into the politics behind Ethereum. People care if the price goes up. If JP Morgan is behind it, fine by me, even though I hate JP Morgan. That ETHgate thing, I cannot judge. The ICO was long ago. So Ben Armstrong, BitBoy Crypto, he did see that, and he actually responded with the following. What is the win here? You want the SEC to go after Ethereum that they already deemed not a security? I don't think opening up old wounds in crypto is beneficial for Ripple when part of their argument is ETH is not a security. Yeah, and not that I think they're going to go after Ethereum anytime soon. I mean, we'll see what happens with Ripple. I think that would be a factor for the SEC to consider, let's say. I think they want to have that settled before they decide their next major target, if they're going to even pick a major target next year. But, as far as what he wrote here, you want the SEC to go after Ethereum that they already deemed not a security. That's actually not quite right. The SEC did not declare that Ethereum is not a security. They just trotted out Billy Boy Hinman out on the stage of the Yahoo Financial Summit in June of 2018 to share his personal opinion that Ethereum is not a security. So Ethereum is not technically protected, but do I want them to go out? Look, there's been so much damn market confusion. I don't think that, in particular, for the cryptos that have been around since the earliest of days, including Ethereum, I just don't think it makes sense to go after them. There wasn't sufficient regulatory clarity. And so, yes, there's all these shady things that the founders did, while on the flip side, you had Ripple that was nothing but transparent. Yeah, no, of course not. I get that. And I think that Ripple's the best example of adults being in the room rather than Ethereum. But even so, I personally am not convinced that it would be in the best interest of the entire world of crypto to go after them. And it's okay if anybody out there listening disagrees. Hey, no problem. I like diversity of thought, so not an issue. But Stefan wrote back to Ben Armstrong and said, I don't want the SEC going after Ethereum, but they absolutely need to go after the people behind Ethereum. See, here's the thing, though. I don't know, and I'd rather than just not do anything. I think that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. I'm willing to be persuaded on that, but I'm sitting here thinking there's no way, right, that they're going to go after the people that founded Ethereum and then say, like, the SEC is going to say, you did something wrong, we're going after you, and then not go after the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. Like, how could they even justify that? Like, no, it's just these founders disconnected from any sort of actual organization. How, if you're the SEC, how do you even justify that? That would be a tough one. So I think if they're going to go after the founders, they probably have to go after the actual organization itself, I would think, and perhaps ConsenSys as well, which was founded by Joe Lubin. So I'd rather just none of that happen. Now there's an XRP community member named Pompous Maxi who responded with his perspective, and he wrote, no, the SEC needs to step aside and not go after anyone while they get investigated along with the people behind Ethereum. There are accomplices within the SEC. I don't understand why it is so hard to grasp. Justice is a very straightforward concept. And so I think I tend to lean more so in that direction. I'm willing to, if you got a strong argument, I'm willing to be persuaded here, but I'm just thinking probably best to just take a step back if you're the SEC and maybe just not doing it. That's what I'd prefer. And then somebody named Lido II responded to Pompous Maxi and wrote, I disagree. Lubin, Novogratz et al. Colluded around an understanding that JP Morgan et al. Pulled strings at the SEC. These people have to be held responsible. Otherwise, this game goes on forever. Boundaries of what corruption is tolerable have to be set. So that's what he had to say. And I can respect the position, I do. I'm just still sitting here thinking, though, if you just provide regulatory clarity, it's like, okay, we didn't have our finger on the pulse of what was going on in the world of crypto, we at the SEC, but moving forward, we're going to have to treat everything with, these parameters, XYZ, set it up, define what sufficient decentralization is, all that. That seems to make reasonable sense. But to go after any entity when there wasn't that set in place, it doesn't really even seem ethical to me. And then there was also this. Somebody wrote to Ben Armstrong here named CNF, and he wrote, I think the important thing to realize is that Hinman, Clayton, Gensler, and the SEC legal team have all walked back any talk of Ethereum not being a security. So Ethereum folks should potentially consider a Gensler SEC moving hard against Ethereum as their next enforcement project. And so a lot of people have been speculating that, and I brought up the idea a number of times. Will the SEC go after Ethereum? I'm not convinced that they will. I'm somewhat skeptical of that, but I also recognize that it's going to heavily depend on what happens with the Ripple case. That's my humble opinion. Now, Ben Armstrong, he did write to CNF here, and he had some insight that I thought was pretty insightful. He had some feedback that was insightful here. And he said the following: they are walking it back to justify their argument against Ripple. And so, let's be clear, when he says walking it back, he's talking about the SEC's position on Ethereum. Although, again, technically, as I corrected here, the SEC never did have an official position, but that's what Ben Armstrong was saying here. So again, he wrote, they are walking it back to justify their argument against Ripple. And once the case is over/settled and XRP is deemed not to be a security, then they aren't going to work backwards. They're going to start looking for easier targets so they can get a win. That's not Ethereum. So I'll just tell you this. That makes sense to me. That makes, I don't know what's going to happen for sure. This is speculation, and speculation can be fun. It's reasonable speculation. That seems to make sense. Now, as far as Ethereum being protected, are they really at this point? Here's the thing. The executives, the officials at the SEC that were protecting Ethereum, and I do believe that they were, Billy Boy Hinman, Jay Clayton, that whole crew, the whole posse that we've come to know and love so much. Gag me. Well, they're not even at the SEC anymore. So at this point, when he was talking about walking backwards, well, okay, fair enough. But there's different people in charge here too. So it's something of an unknown. But if this goes well for Ripple, say this is fully adjudicated, good luck going after Ethereum too. And I'd argue that it'd be easier to defend Ripple and XRP as opposed to the co-founders of Ethereum and the Ethereum Foundation, because first of all, like Ripple didn't have an ICO with XRP. There was no XRP ICO, so there's stuff like that. But I don't know. Those are some of my initial thoughts, and I thought these were interesting threads. Fun food for thought here. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, but I'll go ahead and wrap up for now. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.